The homeless population in the county is up 13% from last year as the city of LA saw a 14% jump. NBC4's John Caddy's Klimek has been covering Southern California's streets of shame and exposes where the mistakes have been made.
A few blocks from the bright lights of Los Angeles, there's another city living in the shadows. Not a city of red carpets and big dreams. A city of tarps, back seats, and sidewalks that never truly feel safe. You can lose everything in one night out here. Not because you are careless, because you are exposed. One moment you are finally asleep. The next moment you wake up and your bag is gone. Your shoes are gone. Your ID is gone. The one thing you needed for a job interview, a shelter intake, or doctor visit is gone. And that is when fear becomes routine. So here are the questions this story is going to ask you honestly. If your entire life fit into one backpack, what would you protect first? If you had to sleep with one eye open every night, how long would your mind stay strong? If you watched your city pass you by like you were invisible, would you still believe you mattered? And if it happened to someone you love, would you call it their choice or would you call it a crisis? Stay with us until the end, because this documentary does not exist to shame people. It is respectful, advertiser-friendly, and focused on solutions and humanity.
So that could be adaptive reuse, that's where you rehab existing structures, that could be converting motels.
What happens when those hotels say they want their rooms back? Are we going to see an influx of people back on the street?
We will not glorify harmful behavior. We will not use people's pain as entertainment. We will tell the truth in a way that protects dignity. Welcome to Homeless US News. This channel follows real street-level stories across America, so the people living them are not erased, mocked, or forgotten. Tonight, we open the door to a Los Angeles most people will never dare to look at. A Los Angeles where the American dream does not glow. It trembles. In 2024, local count data reported more than 75,000 people experiencing homelessness across Greater Los Angeles. Officials also reported a drop in unsheltered homelessness in some areas compared to previous years. That matters. Progress matters. But the overall crisis is still massive, and it still moves like a relentless force. Because even when the numbers shift, the street reality is the same for the person sleeping outside tonight. Rents have risen faster than many paychecks. Medical emergencies still wipe out savings. One missed month still becomes a chain reaction. And in many neighborhoods, especially in parts of South Los Angeles, the pressure shows up in growing encampments, rising emergency calls, and families forced into cars, alleys, and unstable shelter situations. This is not the Los Angeles you see in movies. This is a city where one bad month can erase an entire life. And we begin where the street never truly sleeps.
We're already seeing high numbers of people falling in, and so we need to really ramp up our safety nets to make sure that we can keep folks housed coming out of COVID-19.
Part 1. The Street That Never Rests, South LA. After dark, at night, certain corridors in Los Angeles feel like a different world. The daytime traffic fades, businesses close, and sidewalks become bedrooms. You see tents stitched together from scraps. You see old cars that do not run anymore, but still serve as shelter. You see people with blankets pulled tight, not just for warmth, but for privacy, because privacy is one of the first things the street takes. Out here, homelessness is not a headline. It is a series of small survival decisions, repeated every hour. Where do you sleep so you are less likely to be disturbed? How do you keep your shoes closed enough that no one takes them? Where can you charge a phone without losing it? How do you stay clean enough to walk into an interview when there is no shower and no safe storage? Many people on these blocks did not fall from a dramatic cliff. They slid down a slope. Rent rose. Hours got cut. A car broke down. A hospital bill arrived. A relationship ended. A paycheck stopped. Then the temporary situation became weeks, then months. And once you land on a street like this, climbing back out can feel like trying to lift the world with your bare hands. People often say, why don't they just apply for help? But the street breaks the very tools you need to get help. No ID means no intake. No phone means no callbacks. No address means lost paperwork. No sleep means no focus. No safety means you never relax enough to plan. And that is why so many people say the same thing when they wake up. I am shaken before the day even starts. Still, even in the darkness, humanity refuses to die. Someone hands a bottle of water to a stranger. A volunteer offers a blanket without questions. A quiet conversation reminds someone they are still seen. Those moments do not erase hardship, but they prove something important. People out here are still holding on even when the world has let go. So let me ask you, if you had to spend one night on a street like this, what would haunt you most? The cold, the noise, or the feeling that anything you own could disappear while you sleep? Because from here, the crisis does not stay in one place. It spreads. Part 2, The Quiet Spread, from Venice Beach to Hollywood. Homelessness in Los Angeles is not always loud anymore. It spreads in a slow, haunting way into places people once believed were untouchable. From Venice Beach to Hollywood, outreach teams report more families living in cars, more people battling untreated illness outdoors, and more individuals trapped in cycles of instability that grow worse when support is too slow. Venice Beach still looks like a postcard from a distance. Sun, ocean, tourists, music. But step inland and you see a different picture. People wrapped in thin blankets, belongings stacked like fragile walls, faces carrying the exhaustion of constant vigilance. When night falls, the tourists go home, and the street belongs to the people trying to survive one more hour, one more breath. Hollywood hides the same pain under brighter lights. Behind billboards and theaters, people try to care for wounds with limited supplies. Some are former service workers, cooks, hotel staff, laborers, people who once kept the city moving. Then one medical bill arrived, one rent jump hit, one layoff landed at the wrong time. Now they limp down alleys. They sit quietly near bus stops, conserving energy. They look at job postings on cracked phones, wondering how to cross a gap that feels too wide. And the most devastating part is the silence. Not every crisis gets a headline. Sometimes it just grows: more cars used as bedrooms, more RVs parked long-term, more people aging outside, more families splitting up because there is no safe place big enough to keep them together. Los Angeles keeps moving, but many lives quietly fall apart while the city is still scrolling, still shopping, still driving past. So here is the question. When a crisis spreads quietly, does it become easier to ignore or more urgent to confront? Part 3, Children Who Grow Up Too Fast. Across Los Angeles, thousands of children live a version of childhood shaped by instability. Local school data has identified tens of thousands of students experiencing homelessness over the course of a school year, including more than 17,000 students in one recent count. And every number represents a real child. A child who does homework in a back seat. A child who washes up in a school bathroom so classmates will not ask questions. A child who wakes up before sunrise because a family has to leave a parking lot before security arrives. These children do not have the basic comfort of certainty. No bedroom to decorate. No quiet corner that belongs to them. No guarantee of where they will sleep tonight. Many families move between weekly motels, overcrowded apartments, shelters, and relatives' couches. Places where everything feels borrowed and privacy disappears. Getting to school can take hours when a family is displaced again and again. And by the time a child sits at a desk, they may already be carrying the fatigue of another restless night. In school, they cling to moments of normal. A hot meal in the cafeteria. A quiet corner in the library. A teacher who notices they are falling asleep and responds with care, not punishment. And despite everything, these children still dream. They imagine a stable home, a bed of their own, a future where they do not have to pretend they are okay. Protecting children is not a trend. It is not charity content. It is responsibility. Because when a child loses stability, the cost echoes for years' education, health, confidence, and the ability to trust the world. So ask yourself, if a child in your neighborhood was doing homework by flashlight in a car, would you want the community to notice? Or would you want everyone to look away until it becomes someone else's problem? And this is where another part of the crisis enters, one that many families fear to even talk about. Part 4. The toxic street supply and the system that moves too slow. Los Angeles has wrestled for years with a dangerous, unpredictable street drug supply, especially synthetic opioids and other high-risk substances that can overwhelm the body quickly. We are not here to describe this for shock. We are here because it is connected to homelessness in a way people often misunderstand. Many people do not begin with street life. They begin with pain, physical pain, emotional pain, trauma, untreated mental health needs. They begin with job loss, grief, and a nervous system that never gets to rest. And once a person is living outside, the street environment can make recovery harder, not easier. Sleep is unstable. Food is inconsistent. Medical care is hard to access. Appointments are missed because transportation is impossible. Shelters can feel unsafe for some people. And when treatment has a long waiting list, motivation can collapse before the door opens. You will hear people say things like, "I was getting sick. I thought I might not make it. I wanted to change." Those moments are real, but moments are fragile when your entire day is survival. Even first responders and outreach teams will tell you a painful truth. They see the same people over and over, not because those individuals want to stay trapped, but because the pathway out is narrow and full of obstacles. A person can be ready for help today. If the system says come back later, that window can close. And yet even here, hope does not disappear completely. Sometimes hope looks like a counselor who says, "Give yourself a chance." Sometimes hope looks like a nurse who returns to the same block, week after week, until trust is built. Sometimes hope looks like a quiet choice a person makes at sunrise. Maybe I can still come back. So here is the question we all have to face. If someone you loved slipped into this world, how far would you go to pull them back? Would you fight for them the way you would fight for your own family? Because this crisis is not only about substances, it is about pain, instability, and the gaps in care that leave people stranded. And nowhere in Los Angeles shows inequality more sharply than the next place we enter. Part 5. Skid Row, where inequality becomes impossible to deny. Skid Row is not the kind of place you forget, not because it is different people, because it reveals how close suffering can exist to wealth and how long it can be allowed to last. A few blocks away, the skyline shines. But here, survival happens in plain view. Tents line the streets, tarps whip in the wind. People create small zones of privacy with cardboard and fabric, trying to protect the last pieces of dignity they have left. Basic needs become battles. Bathrooms are limited. Showers are limited. Safe storage is limited. Clean water access is inconsistent for people living outside. And when you do not have those basics, health problems grow. Conditions that would be manageable with rest become serious without rest. Chronic illness becomes crisis. Wounds worsen. Stress becomes constant. And stress changes a person. It changes how you speak, how you walk, how you trust, how you respond to sudden noises, how you react when someone steps too close. This is why arguments about what to do often miss the point. You cannot expect calm decision-making from a body that has been in survival mode for months or years. And still, Skid Row breathes. Community forms, even in hardship. Strangers share blankets on cold nights. Someone remembers a name. A volunteer shows up every week because consistency is the rarest form of kindness. A donated pot of oatmeal feeds people before the sun hits the rooftops. Skid Row forces a question many cities avoid. How can a place so close to opportunity remain so overloaded with despair? Is the goal to move people out of sight or to move people into stability? Because there is a difference. And if we are honest, one reason this crisis stays heavy is that some of the most vulnerable people are the least discussed. Part 6. Runaway youth and the lifelines that keep people alive. Some teenagers do not go home at night, not because they want adventure, because home was not safe, not stable, not protective. They sleep on buses, in fast food restaurants, in libraries. in hidden corners where they hope no one will notice them. They try to blend into school the next morning, carrying fear like a second backpack. Many avoid help because they fear being forced back into environments filled with conflict, neglect, or emotional harm. So they stay invisible, even when they are in public. They learn survival routines no child should ever have to learn. They memorize exits. They study strangers' faces. They stretch one small purchase for hours just to stay in a lit space. And still, many hold on to hope. Libraries become sanctuaries. A mentor becomes a turning point. A youth shelter becomes the first place they have felt safe in a long time. Now, in the same city, other lifelines quietly keep thousands alive every day. Charity kitchens and community meal programs, food banks, faith-based outreach teams, medical clinics, street outreach workers who bring water, hygiene kits, and steady presence. In Los Angeles, these places are more than food service. They are dignity service. A warm plate before sunrise can keep someone going. A volunteer remembering someone's name can rebuild a piece of identity. A staff member offering calm conversation can lower panic long enough for a person to accept help. And for many people, the biggest gift is not only a meal, it is being treated like they still matter. Some outreach workers say it plainly. We want people to know they have dignity, that they are valuable, that they are important. Whether someone draws strength from faith, from community, or from sheer willpower, the message is similar. You are not disposable. Give yourself a chance, because the street tries to teach the opposite. It tries to teach people they are nothing. It tries to teach people they are forgotten. And the fact that people still show up to help day after day proves something powerful. Compassion is not a slogan. It is action. Outro. Why we keep telling these stories. There's a moment every night in Los Angeles when the city gets quiet. Enough for the truth to be heard. It is the sound of a tent zipper closing before the cold moves in. It is the tired breath of someone trying to rest without being harmed. It is the small voice of a child asking where they will sleep tomorrow. It is the silent hope of a person who says, if I wake up again, I still have a chance. These moments do not make the news, but they are the heartbeat of the city, and they are the reason Homeless US News exists. Behind every tarp, every sidewalk bed, every car used as shelter, there's a human being who once had ordinary dreams. A birthday, a job, a family dinner, a plan. No one grows up dreaming of losing stability. Life pushes harder than they can stand, and then the fall happens fast. So here is what we ask from you: not perfection, not politics, just humanity. Do not turn people into jokes. Do not treat suffering as scenery. Do not confuse out of sight with solved. If you want to help, start where you are. Support credible local organizations that provide housing navigation, meals, and medical outreach. Volunteer if you can, even a few hours a month. Consistency matters. Advocate for prevention and affordable housing, so fewer people fall in the first place. And if you can do only one thing today, do this. See people as people. Now I want to hear you. What moment in this story stayed with you the most? Was it the street at night? The children trying to stay in school? The quiet spread from beach to boulevard? The lifelines that keep hope alive? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe these stories deserve to be told with dignity, subscribe to Homeless US News. Your support helps us keep shining light into the places most people never look so. The people living there are never forgotten.